Everybody, Reggie Reglis here today with Caregiving Secrets podcast. And today we are going to be talking about the ugly secret within caregiving. And it is actually pretty serious, but the ugly secret within caregiving that many will not tell you about. And we're going to talk about that today. So, caregiving and the ugly secret. Let's get into it today. All right, so everybody, I wanted to talk to you about the ugly secret that in caregiving, and it is a quite challenging thing. Many caregivers will not tell you about this, and and I'm sorry I can't see comments today, just because I'm not set up to do it. I'm still working on that. But many caregivers will not tell you about this challenge. Um, it's kept hidden and kept buried for most of them, and maybe some of them have tried to say it in different ways. And those of us that care about, or those of you that care about caregivers, you just may not have heard it. They've probably tried to tell you what the truth is, and you probably, because they probably didn't come right out and say it, but it's there and it hurts and it's ugly. So, what is that? What is that secret that caregivers are carrying? And listen, the secret that they're carrying is actually causing them a lot of pain. It can be quite detrimental to them, and it turns itself inside out on them. In other words, the less they talk about it, the worse it gets. And simply addressing it would make a huge difference in their lives and their ability to continue to care for their loved one. What is that? Well, is that the secret is the ugly secret is that caregiving is a very socially isolating business. If you are a caregiver, and I'm talking again about caregivers that are family caregivers, you're doing this, you're not getting paid for it, you're doing it for a loved one or or you could be just a friend. I know people that have done it for someone that has been a friend for, for a long time, and they may be younger and the caregiver, the person is older, or it could be something different where it's actually not an older person, it's just somebody that you're caregiving for because they may have gotten sick, may have had a stroke or something like that. What is the challenge? Why does it become socially isolating? I've had to really think about that. So there are a lot of factors to this, and I'm not, of course, I can't go into all of them now, but I will go into some of them. So here's the first thing. I'll take dementia, for example. My mom, for instance, many of you know, is dealing with dementia. She was diagnosed with dementia some 7 years ago. I had no idea when I chose to caregive for her how many um, friends it would seem, and I'm going to say seem, it would seem would disappear and no longer contact me and uh, isolate or distance themselves from me. It is a strange phenomenon, but if you talk to any caregiver and they're honest about it, they will tell you it happens. I know because I know it's not just me because I've read many posts and blogs and been on many caregiving support groups where this is talked about. And it's an ugly secret because it doesn't get out enough, but caregivers end up being isolated. And it is so horrible for them because the very thing that they need to keep them alive, which is social interaction and make them feel like they're still part of the wider society, is the very thing that they lose. So not only are they focused on caring for someone, but by them focusing on caring for someone, it seems like they lose so much. And what they're losing, one of the things they lose is the ability to really interact with others, because a lot of those folks go away and they don't mean to. You know what happens? Out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes when you're a caregiver, you end up, especially if you're doing it on your own, you end up in the house a lot. You end up with the person you're caring for, and it's just you and that person. Now, depending on the type of disease that person has, for instance, with someone that's dealing with dementia, you lost that connection with that person, right? So you can't talk to that person like you used to anymore, and you've lost your friends, right? Because you're caring, 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 caring. You can't get out to do the things you used to do. You used to go out with your friends. You can't do that. You're always giving the excuse, "Hey, I can't go." People used to invite you to go traveling with them. You can't travel anymore, so people stop inviting you, right? They don't mean to, but they a lot of times don't want to hurt your feelings, right? So as a caregiver, so they stop even asking you to go because they know most times you're going to say no. No, I do thankfully have some friends that will ask me anyway. That's important. You know why? Because the simple request makes you feel like you're part. When people stop requesting that you go out, it's like, oh my God, you know what's going on. And what happens is you turn it on the inside and it eats away at you. And so you feel, the more isolated you become, the less like you are to even try to interact with people. Now, it's not even just about going out. People stop calling you, right? Because a lot of times folks don't know what to say to you. Isn't that something? It's almost like you have a disease. You're the caregiver, but a lot of times folks stop communicating with you because they just don't know what to say to you. And it seems crazy, but I don't judge these people because I know they don't know what to say. Now, over time, some of them learn. I do have people now that, now just know to ask, how is your loved one doing? But before that, they didn't know what to say. And when they did know what to say, sometimes as a caregiver, if you really tell them what's going on, it's so much for them that you won't hear from them for another 6 months. So as a caregiver, you start not wanting to even tell people. Isn't it funny? Because it becomes a catch-22. You stop even wanting to tell people what you're going through, because when you really lay the truth on them, then they don't want it. It's too much for them. And so then you won't hear from them for a while. So it causes you social isolation. So what you do is, when you do hear from someone, you try your best not to talk about what's going on with you and focus more on them, so that they will keep calling and stay in contact with you so you can keep your sanity, right? It's a crazy thing, but it's an ugly secret. Most caregivers will not tell you, "Hey, I'm feeling socially isolated. Hey, I feel alone. Can you just call me?" Sometimes they're not going to reach out. So, what I'm asking you folks to do that are not caregivers is reach out to a caregiver. If there's a caregiver that just give them a call, right? If you have their number, just check on them. It doesn't have to be long. You don't even have to ask them how their loved one is doing. I mean, that would be nice. You don't even have to ask them about how caregiving is going, because sometimes they don't want to talk about it either, right? And they do have people, hopefully, that they talk to it about. But just keep in mind that sometimes it's just about social interaction. There are going to be times, of course, where they will want to share with you. And listen, when somebody does share with you what's going on with them, many, many, many times they're not looking for an answer. They're not looking for you to answer and give them advice about what to do. They just want to get it off of them. They just want to tell somebody, "Hey, here's what's going on," because many times they can't tell their loved one what's going on. And now they're isolated, so there's nobody else to talk to. So if they can talk to you and simply tell you what's happening, and you just listen, man, there's so much power in you listening. They will simply feel better, live longer, be healthier, simply because you listened. Did you hear that? They will feel better, live longer, do better, go further simply because you listened, simply because you reached out. Don't wait for them to call you. Some people said if they needed me, they would call me. A lot of times with caregivers, you get so involved in taking care of your loved one, you don't even think about reaching out to others, right? Now, caregivers, I'm going to say this to you now. Don't socially isolate. I know it's easy to say, but I don't do that. What I do is I make sure that I reach out to people. And yeah, sometimes people don't call me back, right? They call you back a month later. It's like, I needed to talk to you a month ago, but it's okay, right? So you reach out. You be the one to call and just talk. And you don't have to tell them about what's going on. Just reach out and just tell them, I just wanted to talk, just wanted to see how you were doing, right? Ask them about what's going on with them. Normalize the conversation as much as you can. Now, when you do need to talk, please have those people around too that you go to them. Now, here's the conversation you can have with someone that you want to be that support for you. Say, hey, listen, you've been my friend for a long time. Is it okay that sometimes I call you and just share what's going on? Listen, I don't need you to give me answers. I just need to share with you what's going on. I don't need you to feel sorry for me because I'm going to be okay, but I do need to share it. Is that okay that I do that every once in a while and I promise not to do it, overwhelm you with it? And many of your friends will say yes, and that will help you. And then tell them also, and there will be times that I'm going to call you and I'm not going to be talking about what's going on with my loved one. I just want to interact with you. Is that okay too? Because relationships are a two-way street. So I don't want to always be talking about my problem or the challenge that I'm dealing with, because this challenge may be for a long period of time, right? So if this challenge is for 6 years, or if I'm taking care of my loved ones for 6, 10, 15 years, that's not going to be a good friendship if I'm always talking about what's going on with me. So I don't want that to happen to our relationship. I, but what I do want is to continue to be in relationship with you, because that is going to help me live. Does that make sense? I hope you guys are getting this. And I hope as a caregiver, you will reach out to folks. Don't keep this as a secret. Be honest, be transparent. Tell folks that you feel socially isolated and that you need to talk. And listen, join support groups. Don't, just say I can handle this all myself. There are support groups for every type of caregiver. Join those support groups, because those support groups do have people that are going through similar situations, and you can connect with them as well. But don't let that be the only thing you do. Connect with a wider group of friends as well. But please do that too, right? Please also try to get out, right? Get it. If you can, get a little help. You have to get out. You have to live. You cannot socially isolate like that. And I know it happens naturally. Sometimes you don't even realize that you're doing it. I was doing it for years and didn't even realize that that's what was happening to me. My circle was getting smaller and smaller, and it was not by design. I did not mean to do that. It's just that you become so focused on the person you're caring for, you forget about a lot of things. And one of the things you forget about is that you need to talk to other people. And again, I'm going to request those of you that love and know caregivers, please reach out to them, because some caregivers are just not going to get to you. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you today. Reggie Reglis here. I hope that this was helpful for you. Again, if you were commenting, I have not figured out yet how to look at comments and broadcasts on several outlets at the same time. I'm learning how to do that, and I should be able to do that soon. If you're listening to this later on my podcast on Anchor, hey, if you have any questions, please write in. If you have any comments, write in. If you see this on Facebook, please comment. It helps me to know that I am talking to actually actually talking to someone. So please comment, please listen to what we're saying here and comment. And if you would like, you can always support this. That would be very helpful too. If you would like to support the podcast here, you can go ahead and do that. You can do it through Cash App if you want, Reginald at Reginald Regis on Cash App, or you can do it. I think that's the only way that you can do it right now. But please feel free to do that. That would be very helpful. Reggie Reglis here, excited to speak with you today. I hope that this was helpful to you, and I look forward to your comments. And just get ready. I am, as I mentioned before, going to have a national speaker. I'm just trying to broaden my audience so my national speaker is actually speaking to a group of people. Reggie Reglis here. Have a great day.